Hello, hello, welcome everyone. My name is Akos. I'm the CEO of Airtime, which is an autonomous product discovery platform, turning user calls into product insights in 2 clicks. I see a number of you have already tuned in. I'd love to know where people are tuning in from, where you're listening to. And if you brought any questions up front, feel free to put it in the comment section. I'm going to speak in the next 2 minutes just to give the latecomers a bit of time and not miss anything that Tamas, my guest today, will all his insights that he will share. So, first thing, my guest today is Tamas, and we'll talk about recruiting users continuously in a B2B setting. What you need to know about Tamas is that he's an outstanding product leader who took product to the next level at companies like Skyscanner, Hopin, or Colossyan. And he's going to tell you more about Colossyan. Up front, I can share that it is an amazing AI video platform for workspace learning. It's a shining star. You guys raised the Series B round this year. Team is growing, customer base is growing, but I let him share and shed some more lights on that. A couple of technicalities. If you're interested in our backgrounds, if you want to ask questions from us after the webinar, the best way to connect with us is through LinkedIn. I'm going to post Tamas's and also my LinkedIn links in the comment. So that just get in touch. Feel free to add and then ping us. Second thing, if you're curious about Airtime and how it turns user calls into product insights in 2 clicks, I'm going to post in the link also to our platform. And since you're here, you're also going to get a secret promo code. Feel free to use that. It gives you a 25% off for 3 months. And with that, I think I just used up my airtime in the first 2 minutes. Sorry for the bad joke here. But let me hand over to the mic to my amazing guest, Tamas. Tamas, it's an honor and pleasure to have you here. And could you give us a short introduction of who you are and what you do these days?
Sure thing. Thanks, Akos, for having me. It's my first time talking in a live webinar as this one. So yeah, a bit of background on myself. I'm coming from a business background originally, and I picked up some design thinking knowledge after finishing my master's, and I started my career actually in Berlin, where you are right now, in the advertisement technology space. And then I switched over to Skyscanner, where I had which has a really lasting impression on me. In the beginning of my career, I was able to learn a lot from my peers and learning about A/B testing, user testing, doing it with in a real B2C setting. But I was always intrigued by software as a service. So once COVID hit and the travel sector suffered a big hit, I switched over to one of the fastest growing startups, which was Hopin at the time. We were building event organization platform, so you could basically set up an online webinar or online event for a conference. This was like the first solution on the market. So we saw like a huge demand for our service. People were banging on the door literally to use us. But that, like, once COVID was over, the company started to suffer some losses as well, and then eventually like that balloon bursted. And I also got to know in the meantime a small but very ambitious team, which was Colossyan, and I was really hooked by the vision that Dominic had. And we were 10 people at the time. This was late 2022, and we actually in the last almost 2 years we grew the company into 80 plus people. And as you said, we just closed our Series A round led by Lakestar Ventures. And Colossyan is basically an AI video platform for workspace learning. You can create professional training videos narrated by AI avatars based on the script that you write in a fraction of the time and the cost that it would take for you to go and do the same thing in a studio. And our video editing tool gives you the freedom to iterate and share the content even in the native language of your audience. So you can quickly, just 3 clicks, translate everything that you want to say, and then you can get to your audience faster.
Amazing. Very, very exciting product, and it also is developing extremely fast. So I'm curious to follow your journey and your company's journey. The reason I invited you is because I think it was already in your Hopin times when we first met, and we first started talking about continuous discovery and continuously talking to users. How do you do that? And sort of the Achilles heel of continuous discovery is that how do I get access continuously to users in an efficient way? So, but before we jump into that, I'd like to set the scene by understanding like what brought your focus and your attention to continuous research, and why did you think this was paramount at Hopin and also at Colossyan in order to like invest the time and the efforts to set up this process?
Yeah, absolutely. So I must say that I think for many product managers, Marty Kagan and Teresa Torres were big influences on me. And when someone reads Marty's first book, Inspired, you can learn that the best product teams out there, they are constantly exposed to customers and keep talking to them on a weekly basis. Basically, I think he's setting the bar at talking to 5 customers each week. And I think in a B2B setting, especially, it can be very challenging. When you're working at Skyscanner, where you have millions of customers, that's I think easier to do. But in B2B settings, I think you need to put in the work in order to reach those numbers. And this was like a hard realization for me as well when I joined Colossyan. We were really looking to get exposed to customers as much as possible, and I was joining sales calls. I was there on the onboarding of early enterprise customers as well to build a relationship with them, and eventually we ended up automating part of this process, and still relying on multiple channels at the same time to be able to actually getting that exposure to 3 to 5 customers actually per week.
Per week. I think Marty, I had the honor of attending one of his workshops in Stockholm last year. And he said back in the days when he transferred from, he used to be a developer. And when he transferred into a product manager role, his mentor told him that he's only allowed to make product decisions after he visited, I think it was 10 European clients and 10 US clients. And it was no Skype or Zoom call. Like he had to personally visit them. And this sort of defined his customer exposure attitude, which is extremely valuable. Tamas, I'm going to use your last sentence as a segue to the next topic, because you mentioned that you explored a number of recruitment channels, and I think that's a very good entry point in a B2B setting. And let's use Colossyan as much as you can share with us. Obviously, I'd love to hear how you guys explored various recruitment channels.
Yeah. So. First and foremost, like my first 3 months was all about like getting to know our customers and sitting down with them. Sometimes it was Dominic, the CEO, who introduced me to some longer like older clients of ours. Sometimes it was through customer success that I got exposed, and I started to create this like longer conversations with them to understand their workflow, how they work, and that led me to basically map out their workflow in a high level way, which basically was the foundation of our product strategy for 2023, and still is to a lot of extent. And once we kind of grew to a number of self-service clients as well, where it was meaningful to start recruitment, we set up a survey, like a micro survey, through which they can rate the experience that they had on the platform, but also have the opportunity to reach out and set up some time with us. And this was like from very early on, but it took us some time to understand, okay, like how we could streamline. How in the beginning we got really, not as relevant customers as we were hoping for. So we are targeting the learning and training market. And we were, there are a lot of customers, like casual customers on the platform who are using us for doing their educational projects or university studies and stuff like that. So these guys are very valuable for us as customers, and maybe for UX improvements or usability, solving usability questions. But they're not, our ICP. So what we were looking to talk to, like who we were looking to talk to, were ideal customer profiles, and these are usually coming from 50 plus size organizations, and doing doing some work in the training and learning management space.
Okay, so if I paraphrase what you just told, you were using microsurveys and you placed this, let's call it a customer satisfaction survey, somewhere in your platform in the login area. But because you have, and correct me if I'm wrong here, you have a freemium model. It means that also entities and people can sign up who are not the person you're building this product for. So getting feedback from them is sort of a waste, at least for the time being.
Correct. Yes. So we actually talked a bit about what is the best point in time when we could ask the question, like where to put the survey in the journey. That for us is very important when you generated your first video, right? You put in some effort, you put together the scenes, and then you decide, okay, I want to see how the lips are moving of our avatars, and at that point in time, when you generated the video, that's when the survey comes up, and then we are asking you, okay, would you be open to talk to us in return for some free minutes?
Yeah, and you experience the value, right? It's from your service. So that's also this moment that matters. Are there, besides microsurveys, and I have 1,000 questions, and if any of you in the audience have questions about microsurveys or other stuff that you heard, feel free to put it in the comment section. I will make sure that I throw all the balls at Tamas, either in the Q&A section or already during the discussion. Returning to my point, besides the microsurveys, what other channels did you explore for recruitment purposes?
So customer success remained a very important channel for us. So like working together with our colleagues, and they would loop us in once a customer has a question, or once we can demonstrate. It's a bit of like a give and take, right? Like we present them the product roadmap, but we are also extending that type of discussion and turn it into like a discovery session where we can also learn more about their workflow, how they are producing videos, and learn about their use cases a bit better. That's one thing. In the meantime, early this year, we started to build a community. We used to have, by the way, a community on Discord, but we realized that that's probably not the right channel for us when we want to approach larger enterprise clients. And we switched over earlier this year to Facebook. So we are still building up that community, but I hope to rely on that one more and more as we move forward. And the other important one is once we had a interview with someone, we started to ask them, okay, whether they would be willing to join again, and whether we could put them into a pool of customers. We are calling them early access customers, with whom we are also communicating on a monthly basis. My colleague David is doing an awesome job building this community up and sending out newsletters about upcoming features, and asking whether they would be willing to try those out, and do like a co-creation basically with these customers together, so they are part of this special set of people, special community, which at this point is close to like 50 something people.
Okay.
So
okay. Amazing. Yeah. So you have like 4 channels: microsurveys. You have the customer success team referring clients who are interested, your Facebook community, and also the panel, if I may call it a panel of users who continuously give feedback to you. Amazing. Is there anything that you experimented with but discontinued, something that you're not doing any longer because it didn't work?
So what we used to have is basically relying on. We switched tools between how people can schedule times with us. We used to use Clockwise before, but it was not really meant to do this kind of job, and we switched over to Calendly. And with Calendly, we are able to share, share the calendars within the product team. And what we just do basically is to in the morning when we see there is a session scheduled, we ask, okay, who is going to take it, who has a topic, and anyone can just chime in and basically take the session for them. So we have, at this point, we have like 3-4 product areas for which we are continuously discovering and showing early prototypes or asking questions about pricing and packaging, things like that. So these are always well used times. And the other thing that we did was like, the switch from Discord to Facebook. I think that was an important realization for us as well. And we also try to collect feedback inside Notion, but it didn't really work out for us. So we were on the market for another tool where we can collect or where we can record the sessions and also just have the written feedback that are coming through Slack channels and other channels in one place. So we switched from Notion to another provider as well.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that. I'd like to pick a few channels and go deeper in them. And I'd love to start with customer success. Now, one of the stories that I hear over and over again in companies where the average contract value of a customer is relatively high is that customer success would like to hold on to this relationship, or sales holds on to this relationship, and the product team has difficulty getting access, getting airtime with these customers. And from what you described, it sounds like a very symbiotic relationship between you guys in product and in customer success. And I'd love you to explain to us how you set up this amazing foundation.
Yeah, so it's I think somehow it happened to us organically. I think it also partially coming from Domenic, our CEO, and in the beginning he was wearing many hats. One of them was the product hat and also the customer success hat. So there was like a natural flow of information between the two. And as the company grew, he wanted to keep this. And basically the customer success, they're also happy to play us in, not just the product team, but also an engineering team. We join sessions, we share the roadmap with these customers to be able to get them excited about the future with us. And I think also the team, the customer success team, is very appreciative of this, and then spending time spending more face time with their clients.
With clients, amazing. So, like a very strong and positive example from a founder, which then spirals down as the company grows, and then that helps to root this culture. That's an inspiring story, and something that I rather not hear as opposed to the silo thinking. Let's talk a little bit about microsurveys as well. I'm curious of you mentioned this moment that matter where people generated their first video, and this is where you place a customer satisfaction or a micro survey. What are can you give us some high level numbers of what you can expect from such a micro survey? How many people would typically answer that? How many people, what percentage of respondents would book a time slot
Yeah.
with you? Just to know for like what is the minimum volume that you need in order to make
Yeah.
use of this channel?
Let me try to think of it. I actually have it somewhere here. I think usually like what we still struggle with is no shows, right? But that's like at the bottom of the funnel. Just to give you an idea, like at this point, roughly around 4,000 people actually responded on this survey, but we have like 10% fill out rate roughly.
Okay.
So 10% of our customers are complete, or 15%, sorry, 15% complete the survey roughly. And out of the 15, maybe 5% are willing to talk to us. And out of that 5%, roughly 30% actually like used to show up.
Yeah. You still have no shows, but you also give like a generous incentive, right? You give free minutes in your product.
Yeah, that's correct. But also, even that one is not straightforward, right? Because if there is like an enterprise customer, of which we have more and more, like that kind of incentive is not that appealing, I would say. If they're still willing to talk to us, that's even better. But yeah, we are actively thinking about how to tweak the incentive there as well.
Yeah. I'll if we had time, I'd love to dig into that. I also wanted to explore the social media, the Facebook, which you mentioned. Could you explain to us what do you do to keep the discussion and the community alive on Facebook? What are like the struggles and successes that the team has to keep this an active channel?
On the Facebook one, yeah, as I mentioned, it's still building up. It's still early days. I think the engagement is one of them. So you would ask a question, and maybe one or two likes are coming, or maybe one or two comments are coming, but then the conversation kind of dies off at one point. So that's I think that's the hard part with Facebook. And then again, like even though from those comments, like a one sentence comment probably won't help you, right? So you wanna go deeper than that. But the like building out the panel that I mentioned is definitely helpful. Like we have some recurring customers who we already know by name, and we can always reach out and then show them what we are cooking up, and their feedbacks are usually incorporated into our designs and features that I come to the product later.
Amazing. So far, we focused on customers, people who have an account with Colossyan, with all of the 4 channels. Do you actively target people who are, let's say, prospects on your platform, people who are not yet your customers, but could be and would be a suitable customer? And if you do try to target them, like what's your approach to get discussion with such people as well?
So the survey. So what we have in Colossyan, we have this free trial system for 14 days. So you can try out basically all the pro features that you would get in the pro package without almost any limitation for 14 days. And those customers, they also receive the survey. So that it happens quite often that in those surveys we are talking to one of these customers who are on trial, and usually that's like a very good this is like very good material for the growth team who are looking to looking to optimize and improve our onboarding process, and then making sure that each people get activated throughout their experience. So that's these customers are there already. I would say it's in terms of like magnitude, they are much more than our paying customers, right? So they're like 4 or 5x more. But the good thing about them is that the incentive usually does the job. So like you can get 15 or 10 free minutes. They're happy to. It's almost like an extension to your trial, right?
Yes.
And it wins them a few extra days or extra generation minutes with our video platform.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I'd like to shift our discussion a little bit to is the process, because we now talked about the four channels, and we saw like you can recruit different kinds of customers. How do these channels work? But at the same time, managing these channels, it takes time from your team.
Yeah.
And could you describe us how you automate? What can be automated on these channels? And the microservice is a fairly obvious one, but let's go one by one. Let's see like where you started manual and what and how you could automate to save time.
Yeah, I think that's a very relevant question. We use the survey, as I mentioned, and like once you filled out the survey, you are presented with a Calendly normal booking flow. And we also had to learn like, okay, you need to send follow-ups before the meeting starts, because then that I think actually it was you who told me that it's like a good strategy, and after that we implemented it and it started to work out.
Happy to hear that.
And we are also inviting or relying on a tool that we invite into the conversation, and it can record the sessions, and we can get the transcript easily. Sometimes we are just relying on Google Meet's transcription service, and then we analyze the data with AI afterwards. We're also making notes in the meantime, just to make sure that you don't miss anything. So that's one automation, and the other one is which we still didn't do, but it's on our list, is how we give the incentive. So right now it's per email. It was not as painful up until this point as you can imagine. So we could easily split and share the burden. So whoever talks to the customer makes sure that they also get the incentive. And I think that's kind of like the next point of automation that I can foresee. The other one is the panel building. I would say that's another kind of low-hanging fruit that you can start very early on. I think unfortunately we started out fairly late with this one, so it could have grown much bigger over time. But on that side, you can get some easy sessions booked into your calendar that are also making sure that they're not just booking, but they also have a higher show up rate, right? Which is that's why it's very valuable.
Yes. Let's talk about no-shows a little bit, because we are nearing the part of the discussion where we then swap and switch into the Q&A. And I have a last question, which the key word that I picked up right now is no-shows. And I think I can speak from personal experience. There's nothing more aggravating, especially if you invite multiple people, that you're all blocked this 30 minutes in your calendar, you're in the Zoom call, and the user doesn't show up. And they didn't cancel. And I'm curious what sort of strategies besides reminders, what did you have you come up with to try to minimize no-shows as much as possible?
Yeah, so we were struggling with this quite a bit. So back in, I would say earlier this year, we had maybe 1 out of 4 customers showing up, which was, as you said, like it's a huge time sink, right, for the whole team. Sometimes it would be like 2 of us joining a call, waiting there for 5 minutes, context switching. It's a huge time sink. And then we sat together a few months ago, and one of my colleagues, Balázs, actually really amazing map of all the steps. Like he's a designer, so he's very good in systems thinking, and we mapped out the flow like one by one. And we did a workshop on how we could improve, starting from the survey. We tweaked the copy a bit. Then we went into Calendly. We looked at the email, how we can be a bit friendlier there, like to change the tone a bit there. We were also setting up this automatic reminder that I also mentioned, and we extended the time during which we are accepting calls. I think one important realization was that we are in Europe time zone, right? But most of our customers are in US, and our times were didn't really have like a lot of overlap there. So we extended, like we picked 1 or 2 days when we would go with meetings up until 6 p.m. and that also helped a bit with bookings. And then with no shows, we once someone didn't show up, then I think what also works is that you send them a message afterwards, even that, okay, too bad you couldn't make it. Would you mind, or are you interested in rescheduling? And then some of the time, sometimes it works. Most of the time it doesn't, but you can still get an extra few bookings in there. Sometimes it's really just about people forgetting about this meeting, or something's coming up, and they just deprioritized it. So these, like implementing these smaller optimizations along the whole flow helped us to get around between 40 and 50%. Last week it was 50%, for example. So, or even higher. I think 3 out of 4 customers joined our call. So it was, but it's fluctuating, right, week by week. But overall, we could feel a huge improvement once we did this exercise.
Okay, I think this is very important, and the key learning that I had that I just had right now is start, measure what your no-show rate is, and then think through the process right. It's like almost like a process optimization, and in each single step, think of how you can tweak Calendly, how you can tweak your follow-up email, the incentive, and maybe even iterate on that and show how the outcome changes as you get to like 50, 60%, and I think even higher show up rates.
Yes, correct. So there's no silver bullet that you can use. I think it's the devil is in the details. You need to do your homework, and you can step by step you can start feeling the benefits of these optimizations.
Absolutely. Tamas, thanks a lot for sharing your insights, your wisdom, and your stories. I'm going to switch now to questions, because I see a bunch of amazing questions from the audience. I'm going to go one by one. The first question from Andres is about incentives for B2B clients. What's your experience? What's your take on this?
Yeah, so incentives, that's as I mentioned, it's a hot topic for us as well. For us, what was a no-brainer is to give more minutes, but sometimes when you are, I don't know, UPS, and then you're testing an enterprise account, that is not super motivating to sign up for 10 free minutes. We are looking into rewards and other platforms, like, I don't know, Amazon vouchers are a very very commonplace thing to give away, but it's a bit harder to manage logistically. Actually, we are happy to have Nora, who joined us as head of design recently, and she has like extensive experience in user research as well as design. So we are now building out and iterating on this incentive system as well. I can't really say anything more tangible than that, unfortunately.
Yes, I think sharing my take on this, typically the best type of incentive is that which helps a customer or a person get a job done. And in this sense, like giving 3 minutes, I think it's like a product discount is probably even it works better from a compliance perspective than a monetary incentive, where especially in larger companies, compliance departments are very conscious of any types of gifts and monetary gifts that people give. Sometimes, as you also mentioned it earlier, sometimes it's just access to the newest features and to see behind the curtains, because you want to be one of the first ones, and you're a pioneer. So for some people, it's not money. Let's move on to the next question from Pallavi about the number of participants that you're able to gain on a monthly basis through your 4 channels.
On a monthly basis, I would say that I would probably calculate with 2-3 per week. So that would be like, 15 interviews roughly. So that's like, these are the ones that are actually coming, and then we can talk.
Cool. Thank you. Is it, how does this correlate with the size of your customer base and the and your company? Was it also 15 a year ago?
Oh no. We were struggling to get like 1 per week. So it was, I would say it was like 4-5 per month, but we were able to kind of top this to 40.
Okay, cool. I have a question from Tudor about where you synthesize your insights once you ran your interviews.
Yeah. So we've been using another tool other than Dovetail. It's called Product Lane, but actually it's very well integrated in Linear, so that's why we really liked it. But I think we are now growing up and then realizing the limitations as well, and actually we are looking to adopt Dovetail. I would say it was not super professionally run. Like the insights and gathering all these things. You can imagine that like we are a scrappy startup, and we are now we were starting out with just two of us, right? Sandra on the design side and myself on the product side. So we just really wanted to get the ball rolling, and now we are growing up in a team of 10, and actually it's time to start adopting tools like Dovetail or other ones on the market.
Absolutely. And what you also shouldn't underestimate is the effort it takes to maintain such a research repository, because it's one thing to document stuff, but then somebody has to make sure that the insights which are there are still valid and they are findable.
Yeah.
Another question from Pallavi is it's a slightly different topic. But the question is about this bias which arises in UX research about participation.
Yeah. So this how we get around this. So I think even if you get the feedback on something, you shouldn't take it at face value. That's one thing. Hopefully you are going into the session with your own hypothesis, and you're also able to ask the questions in a way that is not biased, and that usually helps. But talking to the same customers over and over again, that's usually like bad practice, right? So you wanna expand the pool and talk to others as well. However, I think in B2B also sometimes money talks. So the bigger customers have bigger voice sometimes. So what we started to do is basically really have a good overview of what those feedbacks are, and what is the associated ARR to those feedbacks, to have like an understanding of, okay, what are top customers wanting for or missing from the product, and what is what is good for everyone, and what is good just for this smaller set of customers. Hope this answered the question.
Absolutely. I think this is a very important connection with the ARR and the revenue generating potential of that request. I have a question about from Tudor about defining your ICP that you recruit. And before you answer that, I think this is a very important question because of something that you said earlier. And then you mentioned that all these bookings come in this joint calendar, and at the beginning of the day, you sort of distribute who takes which call depending on what topics people have, which means it's very dynamic. You're not recruiting for a specific project,
correct?
Right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, we always have like 4 or 5 projects ongoing, and there's usually someone is willing to share some thoughts with customers. So yeah, it's very dynamic, as you said. The other thing is what data points do you? So that's about the questions. So around the ICP, I think you wanna segment your customer base, right? So you probably have some hypothesis on how the company is being positioned. If not, then I would start there, and then I would segment the customer base based on company size, based on use cases, based on frequency of usage. For example, I think your ICP is ideally a subset of customers that gets the product, right? That understand the value, and they also have a recurring usage. You want to set these people because the assumption is that they will also stick with you longer than just like a casual user. And yeah, then you want to know everything about them. So I would start with usage, and then I would work your way backwards. And that's why in B2B setting, the onboarding survey is the first touch point, right? So the assumption there is that you're already asking the relevant questions in the onboarding survey. That's because that feeds your all your data points and all your the rest of the actions that you're making, right? I don't know how many times we iterated on our onboarding survey, for example, in the last 2 years.
Yeah, and when you recruit people, how narrowly, what's the relationship in your experience between like defining narrow enough this ICP, but at the same time having sufficient number of users that you can talk to?
Yeah. So right now we don't really make a distinction. Like we don't. Our survey is not super targeted, but as I said, we are looking for usage there, and we want to make sure that at least the customer generated a video, understood the value, and we want to understand like what were the pain points throughout the editing experience, how interested they would be in our upcoming features, and so on and so forth. So we want to keep it as broad as possible, but then we have like specific research projects that we are kicking off now with the help of our head of design that will dive deeper and then specifically target ICPs, and that's where the panel comes in, and that's where the customer success and potentially even the sales prospects are coming in as well, that we can talk to and willing to share some experience with us.
Thank you. I have a last question from Andres, and then we're also going to run out of time. So if any of you still have questions, just either reach me or Tamas on LinkedIn, and both of us are more than happy to answer them. I'm going to put the question of Andres here on the screen. A very important angle, something that I failed to ask you beforehand. about recruiting from non-company owned communities.
Yeah, this is uncharted territory for us at this point. We are looking to set up some moderated user testing for us, and I guess this could be a potential channel. I totally agree. I think it's a great idea to join these communities and potentially start recruiting through them.
I can share bits and pieces of experience from my side. When I recruit, let's say, prototype testers for Airtime, and I want to go beyond our user base, I post in Slack communities like Mind the Product, where I know my ICP potentially lingers and reads. And with that, like with a single post, I can get like 3 to 5 prototype testers within like time span of 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's a pretty good rate, I would say.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if I posted like every week how much I would burn the goodwill of the community. So you got to be careful with that. But I just wanted to share this data point from the top of my mind. With that, we have to conclude our session, even though I'd love to continue it with you, Tamas. There's so much that we learned, and I'm really grateful that you joined me and shared all your experience at Colossyan and successes as well as failures. Big thanks goes to the audience as well. You've been extremely active. I loved all the questions that were out there. Last thing, in 2 weeks, the upcoming session of Airtime will focus on internal product managers. So my guest will be a VP operations from AppsFlyer, which is an amazing company. And there is a second, like a new breed of product managers who focus on internal tools that the company and their colleagues are using, like Salesforce and other similar tools that needs a lot of fine tuning to increase productivity in the company. So join me there, join the discussion there. And in the meantime, I wish all of you a very nice evening, afternoon, or rest of the day. Thanks,
Thank you
everyone.
for having me, Akash. Bye-bye.
It's been a pleasure. Take care.